Hello and welcome to Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. My name's Elizabeth Price, and today I'm going to share with you how to make a mini album using the Fun in the Sun Paper Pumpkin Kit. So you're going to need that kit along with a few added supplies. And the added supplies I have right in here. We're going to need an Azure Afternoon Ink Pad. I also have Azure Afternoon Stampin' Blends in light and dark. I'm using some of the sheer ribbon combo pack. Specifically, I want this Azure Afternoon color, so I'll get that out. We'll also be using the Alphabet a la mode dies. So we'll be making some custom words with these dies. And for those letters, I'll also be using some of the foam adhesive sheets. So these are like dimensionals, but instead of being cut into little hexagons, this is one solid sheet. So we'll be using that as well. All right. Also in my little box here, we're going to need, look how old this is. This is an actual Stampin' Up! Emery board that was sold as logo merchandise many, many years ago. But find yourself an emery board or a sanding block or something along that line. Okay, so I would show you the album, but I don't have the album. So I'm making another one from memory here. And so to start our album, I want you to pull out the chipboard that is the back of your, when you get your paper pumpkin kit, all the supplies are shrink wrapped. Grab that chipboard and we're gonna cut that chipboard into two pieces, okay? And the sizes are going to be, our chipboard here is 5 3/4 wide, 5 3/4 wide by 4 3/8 tall. So 5 3/4 by 4 3/8. And you're going to need 2 of those, okay? So with these 2, we're going to make this be the front and the back of our mini album. So this is how we're gonna start. So again, 2 of the chipboard, it was 1 piece, okay? And you're gonna cut it into 2. It's not exactly just in half because we're cutting it down to fit the envelopes. So it's 4 3/8 tall by 5 3/4 inches wide. Again, 4 3/8, 5 3/4. Okay, so once you do that, then I want you to grab 2 envelopes from the kit. And with the envelopes, we're going to break these down. And this is how we're going to do it. Because I need every bit of this piece of paper right here, I'm going to flip this over and then just carefully pull this apart like so. Okay, trying not to rip into this front side. Okay, see how that was kind of going off to rip? Yeah, we want to preserve every last speck of the front. Okay, so now that you have your envelope open like this, we're going to bring in our Stampin' trimmer and we're going to first start, let's just put the score line of the flap of the envelope right in the groove of our paper trimmer. Save this, we are going to use it on the front. And now I'm going to put the groove of this tab here into the paper trimmer. We'll get rid of that. So that's trash. And we're going to trim this down. Get that whole thing, save this. We're gonna use this side of the paper, even though it's a little bent, it will be fine. We're gonna use this for our letters later on. So you're gonna wanna save that piece of paper for sure. Now we'll take this edge off as well. Okay, by the time we do that, very carefully, we now have a piece that's 5 3/4 by 4 3/8. So we're going to take this piece and we'll take our chipboard here and I'm going to use some glue. I guess I should have put some glue on the, when I was pulling out all the extra things aside from the kit, I should have put glue in there too. So you're going to need some adhesive. And you know what? For this step, you could use the liquid glue here. The other thing that works really well for this type of process is a glue stick, so long as you use plenty of glue. Okay, so we're gonna add this right on top, like so. Okay, kind of a no-brainer. And you can see I have little edges here that are kind of, I really need to put a new blade in my trimmer. That's when you can tell you need a new blade, is when it starts to get a little fringy like that. But that's okay for this, because remember I said we would need an emery board. First, before I use my emery board, I'm gonna take my bone folder and just kind of burnish this adhesive. Okay. And now I'm gonna take my emery board and just clean up all these edges here, so that if the paper's hanging over a little bit or the chipboard's hanging over, I'm just marrying these pieces just a little bit more together. And see, I can see kind of where it was cutting. So I'm just using that to clean this up. Okay. Now, I'm slightly not covered right there. That is okay, because I'll just make that be the top where we're going to put the flap. Okay. Okay, so once I've got that to the way I like it, let me just brush off all this stuff. Okay, whoops, I still have a little bit more hanging on here. Good, okay. Now, this piece is going to glue here. However, I'm not gonna glue it just yet. The reason being is that I want to cut myself about 34 inches of this Azure Afternoon colored ribbon from the sheer ribbon pack. This you'll find in the annual catalog. And I've cut myself a piece of that. And what I've done is, with that ribbon, I am going to go ahead and lay my ribbon down. Let me make sure it's not twisted here. Okay, so I have my piece of ribbon, and I'm going to lay my ribbon down like so. Okay. And then I'm going to take my top flap here, and I'm going to add the glue here, but I'm going to leave a channel in the middle open. Okay, channel meaning just a section here, so that I don't put glue in the middle there. So I'm sandwiching the ribbon between the envelope top flap and my cardboard chipboard back here. Okay, and we'll just press that down into place. Beautiful. Okay, and now this is free to move back and forth. That's important, because this is how we're going to tie the mini album shut, but it needs to be able to easily move back and forth. Okay, and so you're going to do that to both pieces of your chipboard here, and I've done this one here already. So now you can see that if I put this kind of like so, I can pull these up, and now this is going to come up, and this will tie in a bow, and obviously it's going to get all puffy inside here, but it allows this book to expand and to do what it's going to do. So here is our front cover, here is our back cover, and here is, you know, how we're going to keep it shut. Now, I have a tendency to get glue on things, so I'm just going to kind of have my adhesive remover on hand, especially for a project like this. But let's go ahead and continue moving along with assembling the book part of this, and then we will work on the pages as well. And the pages in the book are kind of at the same time. So, and I should say book binding. So we're going to set this aside for now, and we are going to gather some things from the kit. I want you to pull out, let's see here, pull out some card bases from the kit. Pull out one, a two, a second of this style, and then one of the third style. So you have one, and then you have two of these. So first off, let's just take this one, and let's learn how to fold this the right way. We're going to fold the this one, these two, we're going to fold together, and they're going to be exactly the same. These two, we're actually going to break down and do something a little bit different. So for both of these, here's what you're going to do. This is the easiest and the cleanest way I have found to work these folds. And that is on this side right here. So on the right side, I'm just folding this first one down. And I'm not folding it and making it all perfect. I'm training it. Now I'm gonna train this one. So it's an accordion fold. That was the second. Now here's the third score line. I'm gonna kind of press that up. And there's the fourth. I'll press that down. Again, it's just accordion, back, forth, back, forth. So I'm just working this side. And then, so that would mean this one's gonna be a mountain, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of squeeze things into place and see how this just kind of fell into place. I'm not gonna push that down just yet. I'm actually gonna clean up the right side over here. My folds on the right side, and I have to kind of sneak in to get this one. Okay, then we'll get this one. We'll kind of open up. So I'm opening up and I'm just kind of getting these that are down below here. Okay, so now those are nice and clean. Now what I want to do is just kind of hold my card, and there is a score line here, but if you fold on that, it needs just a little bit of coercion here. Okay, so I'm using my bone folder to make that nice and clean. So that to me is the easiest way to fold this card. So you're going to do that to this one, and then the same thing for this card, and I have that already done here for us, so you don't have to see me fold it again. So we have those. Now what we'll do with the second, this one right here, we're going to do something a little bit different. So I'm just going to store these to the side. For these two, we are going to cut this, both of them apart, okay? So with both of them, you're going to put the edge right there at 2 inches and then just cut. So we're just separating those, okay? And I've done that to one of mine already ahead of time. So do that to both of them, separate them. And now for one of these, we are going to fold this nice and easy, okay? And now this, we're going to do the same thing we did to the first card, but we don't have that side on there, so it makes it a lot easier. So back, forth, and back. And we'll burnish on all of these. Okay. Ha! Kind of has a mind of its own sometimes, right? I'm just trying to get some nice, crisp folds on all of these score lines. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So here's how the card was, right? It was kind of on this side. The reason we've cut it apart is we're going to reverse it and put it to the right side. Okay, so this is prepped and ready for a little bit later, but we need it ready and on hand, ready to go. So I'm going to set that. Here are my other pages. I'm just going to set that with them. I'm actually going to go like this, and we'll put it in here because it's going to go in this order. Okay, so I'm just kind of setting things aside. And now what I want to do is we're going to need a couple pieces of white paper here. And so my white paper here, we need 2 pieces of white, basic white cardstock. And again, this should have been in the box at the beginning. And actually, we're going to need 4 pieces. I've given you a sneak peek. Okay, so one piece is going to be, well, both of these pieces are 5.5 inches wide, okay? One of them is 10 inches, and this one is 5 inches. So it's basically, you know, half and half. Okay, so half of that. So with these, along the 5.5 inch, I'm going to turn these, okay? And so I am going to put some score lines in here. The first score lines, let's do this longer piece. We're going to score, and since I'm scoring, I'm going to move my cutting blade out, get it out of the way. I'm going to open up the arm of my trimmer here because we're going to be scoring 1.25 inches all the way across our paper. And I can see I have little fuzzies in the track there that I want to get rid of. Okay, so my first score line is at 1.25. 1.25 inches. Now I'm going to move it to 2.5. Okay, again, these are 1.25 increment, 1.25 increment. So that was 2.5. Now 3 3/4. And now 5 inches. Again, every 1 1/4 inches. Here's 6 1/4. Now we will do, so 6 1/4, that means we are 7.5. I had to think about it for a second. 7.5. And we should be 8 3/4. Okay. 8 3/4. And so now that leaves me with another 1 1/4 here. So now with our smaller piece of paper, we're going to score. So this is 5 by 5.5. So we're going to score along the 5 inch. On the shorter side there, we're going to score at 1 1/4. Guess what? 2.5, right? And then 3 3/4. Perfect. Okay, we are done with this for a brief moment. Now what I want to do is we're going to, the reason we are doing this is these two are going to overlap right there. Ultimately, we need a piece that's 5.5 inches by 13 3/4. And so by overlapping that, that's exactly what we'll get. So let's just start with some folds here. So I'm just going to accordion fold, back, forth. Okay, and we'll give those a good crease in a minute. Now this one, see how this one, I went back, forth, and I ended with a mountain fold? I'm going to start this one with a valley fold. That valley fold will allow me to marry these two together and see how, you know, we don't have raw edges now. The raw edge is now down inside the valley folds. Okay, so we're starting with a valley, then we'll go mountain. Just kind of back, forth, like you're making a fan. Okay, so now let's glue these together. So we'll add some glue here. Okay, and like I say, marry these two together. Very similar process as to when I'm making like rosettes and you need a nice long piece of accordion and then you bring them together. So same thing, I like to hide those ends inside so you don't see that. Okay, so that's nice and clean and tidy. Whoops, as it springs apart. Now I'm just going to kind of come in here and let's just crisp up all these folds. So I'm doing all of the mountain folds, and now I'll turn this over. We'll do all the valley folds. Okay, we're in the home stretch here, folks. And there's the last one. So there's that. It's nice and clean and tidy. Okay, so once we have that, then I want to get a couple other pieces of paper ready. So this is our binding. This is what's going to bind our whole project together. Then we have 2 pieces of white, basic white, that we're going to need. And one is going to be the inside cover and one will be the back side cover. So these 2 pieces are 5.5. Let me get these out of the way so you can see. These are both 5.5 inch square pieces of basic white. So 5.5 pieces, 5.5 inches square, and each one is going to get scored. We're going to put, we're going to score it at 1 1/4. So you'll just put your one end in there at 1 1/4. It doesn't matter which side because the paper is square. And you'll score it at 1 1/4. And same thing with this piece. You'll put it in at 1 1/4. And you can see mine were already done. All right, so there is that. Keep your trimmer nearby. I'm not sure if we're going to need it again. So for both of these, we're just going to fold on those score lines and then burnish that score line nicely with your bone folder. Same thing on this one. Okay, there you have it. Okay, so now these are ready to go. We'll use these at the end when we go to bind it to our front and back cover, but I wanted those ready. So now let's go back to this piece here and back to our folded cards. So I'm going to take this card here, and I'm specifically using the one with the sun first. Okay, so you want the one with the sun. And what I want to do, and hopefully this will show. Okay, good, I think it will. So here's my accordion, right? And here is my card. And if you look at this accordion, I have an M. There's one M, right? And here's another M. And then I have part of an M, but I don't have that last little bit, and that's okay. Each card is going to get an M. And so what I mean by that is I'm going to be adhering. So this part of the M and this part, that's where I'm going to be adhering that one. And then both of these folds are going to go inside. And then this one, kind of hold it down, will adhere there. So does that make sense? When we get to the last one, don't worry, we will marry it together with one of the inside, one of these two pieces that we cut. So never fear. Okay, so let's glue that first one. And so I'm going to have glue here and glue here. Okay, so we're going to do glue on this section number 1 here. And make sure that you've started with a mountain fold. We're going to skip 2, skip 3, and we'll do some glue. Well, glue is going to go here on number 4, but let's just do this one first. Okay? And I think I made a mistake. Oh no, I'm okay. I know one of these times I actually have to watch where I'm putting the glue. Okay, so there is the first page, right? And now we'll put those 2 folds in there. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will glue. Whoops, that came flying off. Hold on there, Babalooey. How did we get so crooked? Gotta pull up here for just a second. I'm a little crooked, so I'm gonna fix that. Okay, there we go. Okay, and now we will put, so remember, here's number 1. You can't see it anymore. There's second, third, so it's this 4th piece here. I know it gets a little condubulated looking when you have so much dimension going. Okay, but it really is the 4th one. And so I will pop my card in there like so. Okay, these are going the wrong direction. Hold on. There we go. I just needed to tell it who was boss. Okay, so just bring this in. Okay. Kind of train it just a little bit. Okay. And now our second one, so it's going to come in there. And our second one is going to be a little bit different because this is the one where we've split it apart, right? And so now this time we're going to add things to this side. So I'm going to take, and my pieces are going to be like that. Okay, if that makes sense. So this time I'm just going to put glue on the back of this because I don't want to go all the way across. Remember when I said I accidentally put too much glue on one time, and that was it. I mean, eventually it'll have glue there, but okay. So now if I'm looking at, let me put it back to this orientation. Okay, so there's that M there, right? So it's this one right here that's going to get the glue. So this is in the 5th position. Okay, so I'm going to add that over here to the left side, all the way over to the left, like so. And now if you remember, it gets a full M. So there's up, down, so it's on this down that we will attach this side here. So I'll put my glue on this one. Okay, kind of funky way of putting glue on, but it's a little, you know, my pieces are kind of interesting. Okay. So there we have it, kind of coming together. And yes, it's a little bit weird, but that's because it's really going to sit more closed rather than open. Okay, so now let's go back in and we can add some glue to this spot here. And this is where we're just piecing this back together. And it was by total luck, you guys, that this line met up. I'm like, yes, I didn't have to do any, you know, figuring that out. Okay, and now this one we'll glue to the back. So it's this section right here. It's gonna need the glue. And now we'll bring this one down like so. Okay. Got a little bit of crookedness right there. It's probably better to go there. Okay, there's that piece. And now we're going to do the same thing with our last one. So here's that front panel. Here's the front of my card. Or I shouldn't say panel. So if I turn this again, this is the start of our M. And yes, I know it doesn't have that leg, but I'll show you where we're going to get that in just a second. There's that. So let's glue this one on. And I'm just going to kind of fold these flat so that they're a little bit out of the way. Okay. So we'll press that one right into there, like so. And then we'll put all of that inside. And now what we'll do is this is where we're going to bring in our pieces of our 5.5 by 5.5 that we have a score line in. And this is where we are going to bring this all together. Okay. And so what we're going to do, and this is a little bit, I had to look at it for just a second. So this one, we're going to fold this one in, and then this one here. So this one's going to be a little bit different than everything else, okay? So this is my raw end, right? This is my finished end. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this one to this piece here. So instead of, you know, marrying and being different, you know, having that opposition like we did when we brought the two pieces together to create that one long accordion, this one's a little bit different. Just bear with me. You'll see how it comes together in just a second. Okay, but it was how I could hide the mechanics of my my inside cover. This is actually the inside back cover. So there is that. And now this one is going to come up on top of that. Okay, so fold. Got to get our things folded in there. So to make sure you have this right, here are the folds for that. And I know this is kind of crazy, but there it is, folks. We did it. And I wish there were a way to review. I guess the way to review would be to actually watch me do it again. But I don't have enough pieces to do it again, or I totally would help you out with that. Okay, so there's that. Whoops. Okay, so you got to make sure that those folds are inside there, that they're sandwiched in there. They're not glued down. They are just sandwiched in there. Okay, and so I can see I'm a little bit off, but you know what? That's okay, because that's just kind of the way it naturally wants to sit, and it's clean looking from top and bottom. So don't worry about something like that. It's not totally gonna show. It's better that you have it meeting together naturally than to force it into something it doesn't want to do. Okay, so now what you should have when we're finished is, yes, this is glued together, okay, but not to worry, because we're going to glue that one in there and it's going to be just as tight in just a second here. So it looks, this last one looks a little bit different than everything else. Okay, let's go back to our pieces of cardboard here. And for this, what I want to do is, so you can see, we've got this. Now, this piece is going to set, and it's going to have a border. This is going to sit down on this piece of cardboard here, and you're going to have a top, side, and bottom, or I should say, right now it's the top, but it actually be. So you're going to have these two sides and this ribbon side that's tying, right? It's the end. That's going to have a little bit of a border of chipboard, okay? This edge is going to sit flush against this edge here. So to do this and not have any glue show, let's put glue on this piece here. Okay, by the way, we just finished the hardest part of this album. The rest of this is all about decorating. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually kind of, I'm changing my angle just a little bit so I can see where that edge is. And I'm going to, just kind of like when I'm putting a card together, give myself an even edge. Okay, just kind of shape that as you need to. Voila. So there that is, sitting in there. So there is the back of the album, right? And now what we need to do is just kind of tighten this up a little bit. Now we're going to use this piece here. We'll do the same thing, and it's going to marry into the front of our album, like so, okay? So I'm going to turn one more time. Sorry, turning back and forth and back and forth. So this edge here is going to come up and come right inside there, okay? And I think I'm going to do just a little bit of glue here, but enough that I can kind of skate things around, if you know what I mean by skate. That's what I like about using the liquid glue here, is I can put my piece on and kind of slide things around to get it right into place. So now if I were to turn this sideways, so we just kind of went right up inside there. So there's that 5.5 inch piece, and there's that 1 1/4 inch section. So I just put that right up inside. So now there are like 3 layers of paper in there, because we have our accordion, our original accordion, and we have this paper, and now we have our binding page. Okay, so now we'll take this and we'll do the same thing we did with the back. And I see I have a flip in my ribbon, but that's okay, we'll fix that. Okay, so glue on this. Should be good. Now this is going to be the hardest part is getting this. I think I'll do it just like I did the back one. I'm just lining up my edge that's going to be flush, and then remember we're going to have a section around each one. So 3 of the sides will have some chipboard that's showing. Aha, there we have it. Looks good, folks. Okay, So I have a little glue on my fingers. I should say I have a lot of glue on my fingers. So I'm just using my adhesive remover. You don't need to worry too much about having glue on here because this is going to get covered up. And so now that we have constructed the album, now we get to have fun decorating it. And that's, to me, that's the best part of the project, right? So let's just kind of fold this up. You can see how this is going to work. How you can, you know, your ribbon, how it needs to be free so that it can kind of slide back and forth. But here is kind of the construction of it. And so, yeah, your back and your cover pieces just open up like so. All right. So let's decorate for now. Let's decorate our front cover here. And so for the front cover, like I say, here's the fun part, folks. The stress is over of how to put this all together. We're going to add a piece of one of the die cuts right here to the front. And I'm going to do this, add this on with dimensionals here. And sure, do I have a bunch of dimensionals? I am missing a whole bunch. I'm just going to push that out of the way for a second. So I'll do a dimensional there. Now, be sure to kind of keep in mind where that ribbon is going to be because you don't want any dimensionals right there in the center. So I'm just going to kind of hold my fingers there because we want that ribbon to be able to slide back and forth so that your album can open and shut smoothly and easily. Okay, I'm just using up this sheet. Now let me get just a few more dimensionals here. Got some minis. Gonna need to reach behind me to grab some full size because this is gonna be ridiculous to do these minis this whole time. So we said it was right about here, right? Hoping that's the right spot. So I'm just gonna add a few dimensionals in here. Okay, we should be good for that. And I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to tie my album shut for just a second, just because it's so, because we haven't got it finished, it's so, the bottom section is a lot fatter than the top. And this isn't how I'm going to tie it normally, but it's just a quick bow for right now. Okay, so that gives me just a little bit more, makes it a little easier to work with, right? Okay, so here comes this first umbrella die cut. It's pretty much the main focus of the front here. And then we'll add some embellishments and even a greeting. Okay. Okay, so that's ready. Now I'm just giving myself an even side, bottom, side border here because it doesn't fit all the way across. I'm just kind of giving it a natural little frame. Okay, cute, right? So fun. Lots and lots of fun. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is we're going to use, this is one of the labels from the kit itself. All of our little, you know, die cuts and labels and things, they're all coming from the Fun in the Sun Paper Pumpkin kit. Okay, I need a little Scotch tape. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple different stamps here from the kit. So this one says, Sending an Ocean of Love. And so I am going to mask off the word and all I want is Ocean of Love. So with my ink pad now, I'm going to just ink up that, and I don't totally need that Scotch tape there. It's just a, you know, it's just kind of a just in case sort of thing. So I'm just gently tapping. I'm not over smushing or over inking up my image here. Now remove your tape because you don't want that, right? I'm trying to get it off my fingers. Okay, since it's been a second or two, I'm just going to give a huff on this. And I'm going to set this over here. Stamp it on the left just a little bit because I want a stamp. I'm going to customize my greeting here. So I'm done with that image. Now I'm going to bring my tape in again because I want the word days. So I found the word days in the image that says, I see brighter days ahead. So I'm going to mask off the word ahead. And I'm also going to mask off the word. We're going to get rid of this part right here as well. So we'll ink up the word days. And I can kind of do that strategically with like not having to over ink everything. Pull this one off. And we'll take this one off as well. And now, since it's been just a second, I gave a little huff, and I'm going to line up the word brighter right over the word love. That way, my spacing is still kind of like what, you know, their spacing would have been. I didn't have to guess. So I guess what I meant was, see how the word love ended right there? And here where my finger is, that's the R of brighter. I just put that R right over the E of love. And that made it nice, and I think it filled it out just right. Okay, so we will add dimensionals to this as well. Again, being aware of, because it's going to kind of come in right here. So I just want to be aware of where my ribbon is. So I'm not even going to put any over here on the one side. I'm only going to put them on the right side of my tag, okay? And then I'll add just a little bit of glue on this side, because this is where it's going to hit the umbrella pole. We'll peel these dimensional backings off. And I think I'll stand up for this. So I want this to kind of come into where the umbrella is. And I'm being sure that my label, I want my label to be parallel with this blue stripe in the, you know, the envelope flap here. So there's that. Cute. And my ribbon is still free to move back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so moving right along, we have a few things that are on this front cover extra. We have one of the starfish, one of the clams, and a pair of the flip-flops. Super cute. Super, super cute, you guys. All the little details in this kit are fantastic. So there's a little mini on the clam here. And I'm going to add this just kind of here by the bucket. Cute. And let's put some dimensionals on these as well. So we'll put one on the starfish. I think I'll do 3 on the flip-flops. Not that it really needs 3 dimensionals, but to keep it balanced when it's, you know, added to the front here, that it doesn't get kind of saggy anywhere. So I'm going to do my flip-flops right about there. So cute. So, so cute. And we'll add a starfish here. And in the kit, they have these like micro mini sequins. Oh my goodness, are they so fabulous? Love these, you guys. These are so cool. Let me get a different take your pick tool. I have 3 take your pick tools here, and each one has different attachments. I like this attachment here. It's new from the catalog. And I don't even know the actual name of it, but I call it kind of the dental pick. The plaque remover. So I'm just adding some gems here and there to kind of make it fun, if you know what I mean. Let's see if I can get a good, I'm going off of, I have a few pictures here that I'm looking at, trying to remind myself of what I did. Nothing like trying to recreate something without the project in front of you. So I have 1, 2 there, and then I've done one kind of up here by the beach ball. So there's 1, 2, 3, and I guess I should really drop this one just a little bit. So I'm going to put it right here. And the reason being, I didn't want it to be straight across from that one. That's just kind of me. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do one over here. Just kind of give this some, you know, action over here with a little bit of sequins. And then we'll do another one. Well, let's just take this one way up high, right in there. Okay. Very cute. So there is the front cover of our book. Moving right along. Now we can untie this, and obviously my ribbon's not exactly centered, but we can fix all that later. So I'm going to open this up, and let's look at this inside cover here. And so I think I need like a block or something. Here's what's on my table here. I have a mug, so I'm just kind of holding it down so that I can work on this space here. So just find something heavy to hold everything down. Okay, so if you remember, we had two of the cards that we cut apart. If you remember, we cut two of these apart at the very beginning. And so this is my second card, and this is that second piece. And so what I want to do is I'm going to take a pair of paper snips, and I'm going to cut along this yellow curve. It's not I guess it's kind of a cloud, but I'm just going to cut right along that. Okay, right along there. Save this. This is great cardstock for another project, whatever you want to do. This piece is going to come down right into here. And so it's at this point that if something's not quite straight, you can totally kind of correct things with these pieces that we're going to put down. This other piece we're going to put down is one of the pieces from the kit. And I know it's like, doesn't match exactly, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that. But the first thing I want to do is I am going to cut this white edge off so that it matches this edge here. And you don't have to. I just wanted it to stay the same, if you know what I mean. And so you can see it doesn't quite fill out the space. And things don't quite match, but through the magic of die cuts and trimming, we are going to make it match. So what we want to do is we want to piece this such that this horizon line matches, okay? And when you match that, it's pretty much going to match this curved cloud line that we have up here, this kind of sunset line. What's not exactly right is we've got this gap, right? Don't worry. Don't worry, we're going to bring the whole thing down. we're going to match it there. And so we just kind of, and I'm going to move this off to the side for just a second so that I can make just a little mark on here. So with a pencil, I'm going to kind of hold these, put my my horizon line together. Okay, get that just how you want it. And I'm going to make just a little tick mark right there with my pencil. Just a tiny tick mark. It looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to trim that off. Just like so. And now we have made this fit together. This is what I call upcycling, upstyling, you know, retooling, recrafting. So it's going to go like that. So now we can bring this back into play here. So it's going to come there, but you're thinking, but that looks terrible, Elizabeth. What are you doing? Okay, not to worry, because we're going to bring in one of the die cuts, and that die cut is going to come in here and kind of hide my seam, and it's going to fix my, you know, the look right here on the bottom. Okay, but not to fear. I'm going to find a piece for this. We're going to find a piece from one of our die cuts here, and we're going to get one of the this one right here. So we're going to use this. Actually, that one's going to go right there, but I also want a second one of these. Okay, so I'm going to dig a second one out of my kit here. I should have had two of them ready, but I didn't. But see how they come. If you don't have the kit, it's a fabulous kit. I'm going to cut this out. And don't worry, you're thinking, oh, you're ruining that great surfboard die cut there. I used this surfboard on something else. So anyhow, here's my piece. And I am going to want, let's see here, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm going to want this whole side. Save that. totally have another project that I'm going to use that for. But now my sand kind of comes across, and now my whole beach scene kind of is finished, correct? All right, so let's put it all together. Never to worry. Let's start with this one. And I'm going to start by just lining it up like so to cover any imperfections in, like I'm a little bigger over here, a little, so I can kind of fix that just a little bit with these pieces. So I'll come down just a hairline. Okay. Whoops. Put it all on and then I moved it. Not so brilliant. Now with this one, we'll put this one on side by side. And you can see I'm using glue for that. And I am dropping it just a little bit. Cool. And now any little imperfection that was on the side that was maybe slightly off, it's now corrected itself. And let's put the sand on before we put the trees. So this one's going to go, and it looks like we're going to go right in there like so, because you want to, you know, match here. You don't necessarily want to match there. And yes, I know that looks funny, but you know, the palm trees are going there to hide it, right? Okay. There's that. Cool. Fun. Okay. Now, before we actually put this on, I want to do something, and I've done it through the whole book, my original. So I want to do it with this one as well, but I'm going to use some Wink of Stella, and my Wink of Stella, I want to highlight certain spots on my book here. So I'm going to shake my Wink of Stella, kind of get it primed, and I'm going to, let's see, let me grab a piece of scratch paper here. Here's a piece of scratch paper. I'm going to prime her by pushing on the two words that say push. And I want to see kind of some movement in the barrel here, but not so much that it squishes out of the pen here. So we're going to get it kind of moving here. I'll do this side right here. Okay, good. It's working great. Now I'm going to just brush that right across all the horizon lines. Okay. Just across, just to kind of punch them up a little bit. And then I think I'm also going to do this white line and this one. Whoops. Just kind of like really a lot of the Wink of Stella came out right there. So that's why I'm blotting. So just a little bit, maybe even in these clouds. You know, just have some fun adding a little bit of that sparkle here and there. Okay, this is going on with dimensionals, folks. Okay, just kind of sprinkle these on here and there. Just where you think it might need a little extra oomph so it doesn't sag. Maybe one last one right there. Got some Wink of Stella here on my desk. Oh, lots of dimensionals. I like the minis, but you have to use more of them. And then you have to peel more off, right? Okay. Tried to get them all in one swoop, but I couldn't. Okay, so now with this weirdness right here, we're going to clean all that up with this die cut, strategically placed. And not only is it strategically placed, I love how it just kind of hugs that little hut out here, right? And so it's hidden our mechanics and you can't even tell. Voila! I love this page. Super, super cool. We're going to add a few more sequins on this because we can, right? Just have some fun with these. And so just going to do a couple over here. And I kind of like hitting these on, see how there's these lines right in here? I kind of like intersecting them there. I'll do another one and see there's another one of those intersecting lines. And I'm just going to do one over here because I want to leave this area free for some words. And the words might be whatever you want them to be. Maybe yours is beach days, or maybe it's the name of the beach or whatever. But for mine, what I did is I have the word road and trip on my original, okay? And you'll see that in the photos. So we'll come to the letters at the end, I think. Let's just kind of finish with these pages and then I'll show you how I did the letters. Okay, so for this page here, we're going to use a second one of the surfboards, and that's going to stretch all the way across. So see how we have some funniness that's uneven right in here, but that's the way it wanted to glue, and that's the way that it, you know, sometimes if you force it to be in a spot that it doesn't want to be, that's when it warps. And so that's how I kind of kept it from warping. Okay, so you just need to be strategic with your dimensionals on this one, in that you don't want any dimensionals, because if you kind of hold this up, see how the surfboard hangs over this edge? You just don't want any on the edge of that surfboard. But for time's sake, I'm going to grab some bigger dimensionals, and they are behind me in one of my cabinets here. Okay, much better. I don't have to use a whole bunch of minis on this. There's no need for minis. Okay, so here's where I'm going to go. Definitely across the bottom on all of this. That's going to need it. So there's that. Now, if you remember, it's this side of the surfboard we don't want any on. So sometimes I have to kind of put my hand here like that so that I know, okay, that's where I'm not going. Okay, whoops, I pulled the backing off, but I didn't bring the dimensional with me. Okay, that should be beautiful. Should hold it in place perfectly. Okay, so this little album, I should say, I made it as a mini album from a road trip that that I took with my mom and dad. So we had spent a week at Disney World, and then after that, we just drove up the Florida coast, the Georgia coast, and then the South Carolina coast. And so what I did in mine is I put Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and then it says road trip. So like I said, we're going to get to those letters in just a minute, but I want to kind of decorate these pages here. So for this page here, we're going to need to fill in a little bit of this space here. So when you're making these cards, if you are making them the way that Stampin' Up! Originally designed them, you would take this and you would add this piece right in here like so, and it would glue. And the cool thing is, you know, the horizon line and everything matches. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We've just turned the card itself, this, you know, fun fold card, into a mini album is what I've done. So the easiest thing to do is, if you're looking at this, you're just going to kind of put glue on this bottom portion that is sand. Okay, so I'm kind of cheating my way and I'm eyeballing where that sand ends. So you don't want any glue on the upper portion because then it will be showing back here. So here's that card. So kind of, I'll put my fingers behind that so you can see where this card ends and begins. I'm going to just set this right inside there. And that glues in there like so. Cute. And see how things are starting to fill out. Now, what I do in here is it's in these little slots, you know, you can kind of see there's two of them in there. That's where I'm adding different pieces of cardstock, and I'm adding in my pages of photos. And so I'll talk a little bit more about those in just a second towards the end. But let's finish this page out, because this page does have, it does have a little tag that's going to sit right in here. It's not a tag, it's a banner. And for this one, I want it to say, "Hello, Sunshine." And here's my "Hello, Sunshine." You can tell I actually cut this image apart. And when I cut these apart, It's so that I can do different, you know, I can rearrange the, I can do hello and sunshine up and down, but it's one clean cut. And so I know I can easily put the image back together by just lining up those cuts. Again, I'm going to use the Azure Afternoon Ink Pad. In fact, I'm using Azure Afternoon on everything. I like that because it's a nice continual thread throughout the book here. So there's my Hello Sunshine. And this is one of the labels from the kit. There's 2 of them, and one's a little bit longer. We've used both of the smaller labels. I should have mentioned that earlier. Okay, so this is going to go on with dimensionals. However, I'm only going to put dimensionals on the bottom because it's going to kind of be a little bit higher than that. It's a little higher than the you know, I'll show you in just a second here. It's a little higher. The fold for the next little layer is down a little bit. So just put them on the bottom. Okay. And now, as I'm looking at this, and I'll show this to you sideways here. There's that first coming up, and then the folds are in there. It's going to kind of come on this front one right in here. And I'm just going to, and you can kind of tuck it under, or you can kind of pop it on top, either one. But I did have it on straight. I don't know why I had it on straight. It could be cute, crooked too, but I guess because there was just so much other stuff going on. So let's make it as straight as we can, trying to get it on that edge there. But I need to make sure, okay, good. None of my dimensionals show. So that's where that goes. And then I mentioned that it's in this section here that I add my pages. And my pages, you'll have to turn to my photos to see each of those. But what I did is for the pages, this piece of paper is 3 1/4 inches wide by 8 1/2. Okay, so 3 1/4 by 8 1/2. And then along the long edge, I've scored at 4 inches and 8 inches. Okay, and that allows me to create a little page, and this tab here folds up and becomes a little pocket that I have slipped photos into, many of them, like 3 or 4. And then this comes in here like so, and this has been decorated with elements from the kit and another photo, and it sets in right there like that. So refer to my photos to see exactly what I did with that. But I wanted you to see the size that I put inside there. Again, it's 3 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored on the long edge at 4 and 8. And then I turn that up to make a pocket. So that's, and you know, I'll kind of repeat that, and I'll use this one as a prop to show you where I'm putting each of those. So that's going in there, and I could actually even add a second one in there if I wanted, and I do actually want. That's if I get mine back from Stampin' Up. Hopefully I'll get it back. But right now I have this one, so I could make another one, right? Okay, so now let's move on to page 2. And so this is the card that we have reversed. So let's take a look at this one and see what we're going to do here. Let's see. We are going to use a couple pieces for this one. We're going to use the piece that matches. We're going to glue that one right in there. So let's do that right away. And again, you don't want to put any glue. You only want the glue on this bottom portion because you don't want it to be beyond the fold there, right? So just on that bottom portion. And because I have a light coming from back this direction, I can see that blue where it stops and starts. Okay, so this is going to set down in there, right on that blue layer, the largest layer. And so you can see once it's in there, how it lines up with this side of our card. Okay, nice. Nice. Cool, cool, cool. Now, I want another piece of blue in here, and I'm going to use this, yet I'm going to cut it apart. And I'm going to cut it apart so that I can, I'm just trying to find this page here. Okay, this is the wrong one. I thought it was this one. We actually want one. We want the sailboat one. It's this one right here. So this one is going to glue inside here. And it's going to, we're going to kind of create it. So this one, create a spot for it. So if I were to open this up a little bit, so you can see this flap right here. All right, so that flap, we're going to glue this one to the front of that flap. So just glue on the bottom here. Okay. Okay, so that's in there like so. And now I can stick pictures. Go back to my prop. Again, this would be decorated and cool. I can go into one there, and I can even put one inside there. So this is an interactive album. They take it out, they open them, they look at them, they pull the photos out. I should have mentioned that. This one has some easy decor on it, but let's come in here and do our little bit of, in fact, I forgot to do it on that last page, but let's do our wink of Stella in those key areas. Definitely bring it across here again, just like we did, and a little on this clouds like we did on that, because we're using this one a second time. But it's interesting, we're using it a second time, but it looks completely different because of the way we've arranged it. And I've got to turn this so that I can get in there to that horizon line to paint that. Nice. I think I'll even do this one because we can. And let's flip back to our first page here. I should have it on this darker horizon line. And we'll do it right here where it shows. Nice. Cool. Okay. We've caught up with Wink of Stella. Okay, for this page, the decor is cute. We're going to do one of the Adirondack chairs, and I'm going to use one of the tiny, these are the tiny little labels. So there's the two banners that have the line around them, that nice detail. And then there are several of these smaller ones. So that's one of the smaller little labels, and then one of the crabs in the kit. And the crab is going to sit in the Adirondack chair. And so let's stamp this little label here. We're going to stamp it again with Azure Afternoon because that's one of our that's the color that I'm using throughout. And I'm going to stamp Wish You Were Here. Wish you were here with us at the beach, or I wish I were there again. Great trip, fun places. Okay, I'm going to stamp that right in the center. That's the way the stamp comes. That's kind of nice. And I'm going to have the little crab hold the sign because they actually have these little slits in here. Is that not the cutest or what? So we'll put the sign in his claws. Okay. And I'm going to use my mini dimensionals to kind of hold it in place. So it's kind of doing a twofer there. It's holding the sign in his claws and it's acting as a dimensional for me. So there's that. We'll put another one right here and we'll put another one right there. Okay, so there's my crab. Now let's get some dimensionals on our Adirondack chair. And I'm just going to do some kind of right down, and I'm not going to worry about the rest because this is plenty. It'll be fine. Okay. Peel all these off. Such a cute little book. Lots of beach towns. I think my favorite stop in the whole thing, though, was Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, what a cool town. Super, super cool town. Fun times. Okay, so I'm going to put my Adirondack chair. And my Adirondack chair is going to kind of, see how I have a seam right there? I'm going to use the leg of my Adirondack chair to help disguise that. And yes, it means it's over a little further, but in my original, you'll see it in the photos, I have the letters G-A here for Georgia. So, yeah. Okay, and now I'm just going to sit this little crab right in the chair like so. How cute is that? Okay. And again, I would do my pages tucked in here. Okay, so let's move on to the last page. Well, the last page, and then we have the back cover. Okay, so how did I decorate this last page here? This last one's pretty simple. This is where I'm going to use one of these, and it actually lines up right here like that. Okay, that one's going there, but I am going to use one more of these, and I'm going to kind of cut this off right here. So right along this water line, I'm trimming this off. Now, if you're thinking, why is she trimming the best part of this die cut off, the trees and the sun? I'm using the trees and the sun on some other things, okay? Other projects you'll see in my Upstyle class, or you will have seen in my Upstyle class, but that's how I'm just adding some more layers of water to this. So we'll assemble this just like we did. Again, don't put any glue beyond that water line. Keep it all down here so it doesn't show. And we'll tuck this down in that, glue that right to that, line up your lines there. Since we're talking about that, let's go ahead and wink of Stella, the horizon line. Okay. And you know, I think I'm even going to do some of these clouds just because we did some clouds earlier. Just gives a little sparkle, right? I can't quite get that one up into the, we'll do this one as well. Okay, just here and there. And then let's go ahead and do this top one too. And why don't we do this one? Why not, right? Okay, and we'll glue this one. So if I kind of pull this apart, you can see, so that's where those are. That's gonna go right in there, like that. So that'll give us some depth in the water. And it'll also give us 2 spots to add different photo pocket type things. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. I like it. I like it a lot. There's that. Now, to decorate this back page is pretty easy. We're going to use one of these. Cute. And we'll do some flip-flops, and we need to put a greeting in here. So again, here's one of those small labels. I should show you the label sheet. I'll show you so you can see what we've been using. Now, I need to tell you, this is all from one kit. However, I'm using some scraps left over from my first kit. This is I'm into my second kit here. So that's where that came from. But you can see those are the 2 label banners that we used earlier, but these are the small squares. Okay, so this we are going to stamp with waving hello, and waving hello is actually one long, it says waving hello and it goes horizontal, but I've cut it so that I can make it vertical. Oh, I love how I mix up all my words, right? Here's Azure Afternoon again, and I'm going to start with the word waving. Whoa. I need to give it it's not on the block very well. Okay, so I had to smoosh it onto the block better. So we'll pop this one up at the top. Sorry if you couldn't see that. And now we'll do the hello down on the bottom. Cute. So cute. See, don't be afraid to cut your stamps apart, because then look what you can do. You can make new, make it, give it a whole complete new look. So there's that. This is going to go on to my little sign here with dimensionals. So we'll put dimensionals, this poor book, back, forth, back, forth. We'll put dimensionals on our flip-flops on all of these. So we'll just do a mini there, like so, on the toes. And then we'll get our sign here and add that to our page. Now I just put one on the side where I'm not sure. I'm going to pull that one off just because it hangs off just a little bit. So I'm just this corner is going to hang off. So I just kind of moved it over just to be sure it's not going to show. Okay, so now let's bring this one in, and it's going to set here. Got something, I think I've got glue on it. Hold on. I've got glue on my fingers. Do you guys do the same thing? Do you just end up with glue everywhere? It is. It's glue and it just doesn't want to go away. Okay. Good enough, right? Okay. Just bring this right in here. Oops, I have a dimensional that shows. Actually, I have this over here a lot further. I'm looking at a photo. So I don't have the original with me, but I have a photo next to me. Okay, that's good. Make sure I'm feeling for dimensionals. They're not showing. Okay, and look how cute that is. Waving hello. Fits right in there perfectly. And now for our flip-flops, and we'll just kind of bury them in the sand, you know. Leave them at the beach so you can go walk in the water, right? And there's that. Cute. And you know what we forgot on the last page? We forgot sequins. And let's see, where did I put them? They're over here. Of course I dropped them. So we need to put some sequins on this page and on the previous page. And I just fell out of my stamp chair. Glad you can't see that. You're hearing me struggle, right? Ah, okay, back to my dental pick here. Okay, we'll do just a couple sequins here and there. Have some fun with these. I love these little micro mini things. Man, they could come out with big old packs of these. I'd love it. So we'll just, you know, kind of enhance our little grouping here. And of course, again, I have more of these, right? For here and here. That way you can have as many pictures as you want in them. And let's see. Let's go to this page and add some sequins on this page as well. I'm going to move these over to this side so I'm not reaching across since I'm right-handed. And I'm going to add some here. And we'll add a couple over here. One's a little, I want it to be a little higher, so I'm going to have to drop this one because remember, I don't like them to be straight across from one another. So I'm really trying to get one up higher than the other. And then we'll drop another one down. I think I'll do another one. Nah, that's good for now. I'm going to save them and then because I want them on my photo pages as well. Okay, so we have our pages are decorated. How cute, how cute. Now let's do this back cover. And for the back cover, we're almost going to do a repetition of the front. Okay, and so we're going to bring in the umbrella piece and some sequins. And then what I did do is I actually used the letters here, and I'm going to show the letters in just a second how I did all of those. And I have my date on here. It says March of 20. So it was March of 2020. Yeah, and then what happened right after that? COVID. Anyhow, okay, so this, we'll throw some bigs on here. And I'm just using my arm to hold the book shut for just a second. So it's a little bit more in control. And we'll just put these up on here. Cool. And I think I'll do a mini right there. And maybe even just a mini right here in the pole so it doesn't sag. Okay, I think we are covered. Well, let's do one more mini. Right up here. Ta-da! Now we are covered. Okay. I try to take off the dimensional covers all at one time. Let's see if I can get them all. Nope, not quite. Okay, so now this one is going to lay right across the bottom, just like that. And that's about all I did. I did add some sequins, and I'm going to add a few, but then once I add the date to it, then that might be, you know, where I'm going to put the others. Okay, and I am going to repeat just what I did from the beginning. I had a little clam over here, so we'll add that clam again. So if it's going to be the same or almost the same, why not make it the same almost, you know? It just provides a little continuity. So there's that. And then, like I say, I had MAR right in here, and then I had 20. So I had some number action going here. So, but I wanted you to see this. I am carrying the sequins, and then I put some more sequins around the numbers and the date. So let's talk about the numbers and the dates and the words and that sort of thing. Let me just kind of clean off some of this adhesive. Voila. Okay, look how cute this is though, you guys. It's a super cute album. Let's talk about the numbers and letters and what I did. So from my pieces of this portion of the envelope that we didn't use at the very beginning, we did something I love to do, and that is to create some cool effects and some cool looks with my Stampin' Blends. And so I'm just going to color. This is Azure Afternoon, and this color is Azure Afternoon, right? And so I'm just coloring back and forth with my light Azure Afternoon blend. And now I'm going to kind of do the same thing and come into the dark here. And yes, I have gaps in here, but that's what makes it interesting. But I really want to get the bottom part here pretty dark. Now I might come up in here and blend just a little bit more, add just a little bit more. So there is how I would color my paper. And now I'm going to take my sheet here, my excuse me, my foam adhesive sheet, and I'm going to peel one side, and I'm not going to peel the whole thing because it's not that tall, and I save every piece of these foam sheets, right? Let me turn this way so I have a square edge here. So I'm going to just put this right up there like so. Okay. Press that on, and now since I have this area here, I'm just going to cut that off because I can use this for more letters. But now I have access to all of this, and I like to come in back and trim this off so I don't accidentally put a letter where I don't have the foam adhesive sheet, right? But now I have all of this to jam pack in as many letters as I can. In fact, for my entire album, I have road trip, March 20, and then I have Florida, FL. I have SC for South Carolina, and GA. And I got it all out of the 2 flaps, okay? So, but I'm not going to do the 2 flaps right now because you don't need to see all that. But now I'm going to take my dies here, and let's just do the word trip, okay? So on the next sheet here, I have my T. There's a T. So I'm going to put a T in here. And let me just kind of put these other letters back before they get lost. And we have R, I, and P. And so you can kind of just put these wherever. Maybe bring them all the way down. Hopefully you have enough for another row. And so if I'm doing another row like that, what I can do is actually, let's beef the bottom up on this with a little bit more blue, of the darker blue, right? Now I'm going to turn this, rotate this, and we'll do some dark here. Because I have all of the letters are darker on the bottom, and then they're lighter towards the top. So what I can do, whoops, take your pick tool, land it on the floor, is I can put my letters down to here, and I can do the word trip, right? And they don't have to be in order, but if you are doing something with lines or something like this, you do want them to be kind of in a similar spot. So there's trip, but look, I can do another word here if I really squish it. Yes, I can, but I'm going to rotate the direction of the letters. Whoops, great. so that the dark is on the bottom of the letter. Okay, so I'm just going to take those letters out. Let's do the word trip here, and we'll die cut them. But before I die cut them, I like to tape them down with a little bit of the Post-it labeling tape, because this back side is it's slickery. It's slippery and slippery and slick. That's what my mother-in-law she'd say, slickery. Anyhow, it kind of just moves around a little too much once it's on my Big Shot. Not my Big Shot, but you know, the Stampin' Cut and Boss machine. We are into the habit of saying the word Big Shot, right? Even though we haven't had a Big Shot for a while, we've been selling the other, which is a fabulous machine. I mean, Big Shot's great, but the Stampin' Cut and Boss machine, you guys, the pressure is just better. It's a little bit more intense. Okay, so I've taped my letters trip in there, and I'm gonna run these through my Big Shot. Sorry, that's off camera here, but you'll get the right idea. So I'm gonna run it through, and I have to say, the thing you wanna watch out for is I've put it through and then pulled it back out and said, oh, I think I need to cut it again. And when you do that a second time, for some reason, it's even though you haven't taken the letters, you know, the dies off of your paper or anything, it still has a little tendency to shift just a little bit, and then that's no good. So I'm going to remove the letters here. So there's T. Oh, nice. This one just came out. This is actually this is what my favorite thing is, when it does that. So I'm just pulling the letter out, and look, it's taking the center right out, but that's okay. Okay, just kind of move all this out of the way. We can take our scratch paper out of the way. But I'm always careful that I put my letters all back first. I would rather lose this and have to make one of those than to lose my letter, if you know what I mean. My die cut letter. Okay, so put all your letters back. Pop these out. Whoops. So the backing's not coming with that one, but I try to keep them. Sometimes they don't, but I try to keep them so that you can move things around to figure out exactly where you want to put your word. So there's my word trip, road trip. But now you can see how I've done the words. And let me show you where I'm going to put the word trip. And then I'll just kind of show you where the word road is without actually doing it. So there's photos that you can see of exactly where I put it. So here is my front cover, the front inside cover. And so the word trip is going to come down here at the bottom. And so I'm going to start with my letter P. Okay, start with the letter P. Just pull that, and we'll kind of pop that center out. And I'm going to place this just kind of right about here. And I want this, I want it to be straight up and down. Sometimes I like the letters crooked and whatnot, but I'm going to do these so that they are perpendicular to the bottom, parallel to the edge, you know. So there's the P. All right. Now I. Have you ever spelled the words wrong? Yes, I have. And you're like, oh no, I got to fix that. Okay, now this I want to be sure that I'm putting the darker end at the bottom. Because if you remember, we intentionally kind of made them a little stripy, right? So there's the I. And now we'll do the R. Let me take this center section out right here. And we'll pull the back off. Okay. And I'm going to do the the R a little higher. And then I'm going to drop the T down just a little bit. Sorry if you can't see that, my arm's in the way. Okay. So when you are doing letters like this, I might recommend that you don't get too close to the next letter, because sometimes, because of the foam adhesive and it kind of, it just, you want to leave yourself enough space when you're cutting in between them. Okay, and so I'm going to drop the T down just a little bit. Cute, cute, cute. No, come on, scooch over just a skosh. Okay, you get the right idea, but I do want to move this just a little bit and get this so that it's straight up and down. Awesome, there it is. And so the word road, and I'll just use the letters. I won't actually cut them out, but A, D, let's see if we have O here. So they were over here, okay, on this side. And here's R. Okay. Something like that. So I had road, trip, and then I did Florida, and like I say, Georgia and South Carolina. So you can see that, you can see the date, what I did with them. The last thing I want to share with you is I really did punch these letters up a little bit, and that was to take my darkest, the dark blue, the darker of these, and I would do just a little bit right on here and coming up, just to really make these letters, just to really enhance the dark to light. I'm just kind of punching it up a little bit there. And then I did on all the letters, you know me well, and that is to come in here and give these letters a nice coat of Wink of Stella. And wow, what a difference to add that, to really enhance that, to add just a little bit more of that blue down at the bottom really does give them, makes them quite dynamic. And then adding the Wink of Stella looks great. Okay, so there, my friends, is how I constructed this album. You saw a few things and a few things that were kind of crazy, but look to the photos of how I've added my little, they're almost little mini pocket albums that I've tucked in each one, and have some fun with it. But there you have it. That's our mini album using the Fun in the Sun Paper Pumpkin Kit. I will say that once you have your different pockets in there of photos, when you go to tie it, is give it a good, just kind of hold it. And I'm using my, kind of my forearm there to hold it down to give it a good tie shut. And the bottom will be thicker than the top. That's just kind of the nature of the design. But there you have it. There's our Fun in the Sun. And then maybe I have to trim my end there, but okay. I am glad you hung out with me for this crazy project, and I look forward to hanging out with you again soon. Bye-bye.